Hello and welcome to Palace Fan TV for Jim and Jay's final say. This is a combined double final say with the Stoke Cup game and the Bournemouth League game, because there wasn't much time in between, so we thought we'd do them in one video. I'm Jim Daly, and these are my thoughts on those two games. Now, I've got to admit, I didn't go to the Stoke game, the Cup game. I was actually working that day, but I was working covering the game. Although I didn't actually get to watch it, I listened to it on the radio, which made me feel like a teenager again. That's how we used to follow football back in the day, before we had all these multiple streams of every game. So you young guys out there don't understand how good you've got it. We used to always have to listen on the radio, and sometimes not even that, sometimes just radio updates when our game wasn't even being covered. So it felt very retro to listen to Palace on the radio, but it was a good result against Stoke, and from listening and watching the highlights back, Palace played very well. It was a fantastic goal from Wilf to beat almost three men at once and finish into the goal. So there were positives in that game. I won't stay on that game too long because I didn't go to it, but I did go to Bournemouth. But Palace, it's weird. We seem to play with sort of less pressure in the cup games at the moment. The shackles are off a bit, and we can express ourselves a bit more. We've had two good results: Southampton in the third round and now Stoke. And of course we've got Spurs in the next round, another Premier League team starting with S. But we seem to not let the pressure of league games get to us when we're playing in the cup, and maybe that's one of the reasons we're struggling in the league a bit, because we do seem to sort of play within ourselves a bit, or that we're letting it all get to us. But in the cup, we just go out there and do our thing. And of course, as we know, we're a good team with good players, and when we do express ourselves and when the shackles are off, we tend to do quite well. So the Stoke game was a good result. Unfortunately, I'd hoped that would then prove a bit of a catalyst for the Bournemouth game. We could start to really kick on in February, put January behind us, and get back to winning ways. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I think we were kind of unlucky. Certainly in the first half, we started very brightly. We had a lot of the ball in the first half. We scored when Zaha set up Dan. Wilf, by the way, was the best player on the pitch against Bournemouth, and by all accounts was the best player on the pitch against Stoke as well. He's really been one of the few kind of positives in the last few weeks. Even back in January when we were not playing that well, he's really come into his own, certainly since Bolasy's been injured, and I still think that Wilf needs Bolasie there a little bit to take the attention away from him and bully other defenders. But Wilf has been trying so hard recently to become the main man, and to be honest, it's worked. He's been good, but it's also worked in that I think at the moment we seem to have one plan, which is give Wilf the ball and see what he can do, and quite often he will do something. And against Bournemouth, he's adding the final ball to his game, putting in some brilliant deliveries, and looks to be really sort of rounding off, all his game. But it does seem that when Wilf isn't making anything happen, or is being doubled up on or tripled up on as he was against Bournemouth, we don't seem to really have much of another backup at the moment. It's sort of give Wilf the ball and see what happens. And I think when Bolasie is there, you've then got two brilliant outlets, and defenders have got a lot more to deal with. Well, then when it's just Wilf, they know they can double up on him, they can kick lumps out of him, again as Bournemouth did, and they can try and nullify him. But he's been really, really good. But we were a bit unlucky in the first half against Bournemouth, because we did start very brightly, and then Bournemouth came back and they scored with, I think, was their first shot on goal, because we'd sort of contained them before that. You could argue the defending wasn't brilliant for the goal. Sort of, should the man be allowed a shot on goal there? Taking quite a few touches in the area and then getting a shot off, and Hennessy was probably couldn't be able to see that through the crowd. So that was disappointing. And I think, and this is what happened a lot in January, when that goal went in, you felt the team and almost the whole stadium sort of deflate a little bit, as if like, oh, here we go again, which is very much a sort of an old Palace mentality of, well, we've let in a goal, we're going to lose. Whereas at the start of the season, nothing would get us down. We'd let in a goal and we'd turn around and we'd go back and we'd pretend it was 0-0. Something's changed over the last few weeks, and it might be the fact we're going on a bad run, and psychologically that can really have an effect on you. It could be that the crowd has been a bit deflated recently, and that could be self-fulfilling with the team not winning so much. It could be that it's cold and it's January and it's winter and we've all got seasonal affection disorder, whatever it's called. I don't know. There's something that's not quite right, where the confidence seems to have sort of gone from everyone, team and the fans. But it can be got back. We've got enough ability in that team. We've got enough skill. We've got enough determination that is there somewhere. And I think Jednak, apart from Zaha, Jednak was our second best player on against Bournemouth, and he was one that was getting in there and getting stuck in and trying to make things happen. Maybe we've missed him in recent weeks. Maybe we do need a bit more of a vocal physical, almost bullying kind of leader on the pitch, because he does that really well and he can lift the team and the fans, and did that in the last couple of years. So maybe we miss him. Adebayor, I mean, it's the worst introduction for a new Palace player. Like, literally standing on the sidelines, ready to come on as Bournemouth get their second goal. Horrible introduction, but he did okay. I thought he looked okay for a man that hasn't played competitive football in whatever it was, 6 to 8 months. I think he showed some nice touches and could hopefully become a good player for us in the rest of the season. But the problem is, every week that goes by and we don't get a result puts more pressure on the next one. There's a lot of pressure on Tuesday, and that seemed to affect us. And now Swansea away, a team that are struggling, there's going to be even more pressure on that. A place where we've managed to get results. We've been very lucky to get results the last couple of seasons. So we need a break. We need something to go for us. We need referees to be a bit kinder to us. We need, I don't know, a cheeky goal to go in here or there. We need to sneak a result. If we sneak a result against Swansea at the weekend, even if we don't play very well, that will help us turn the tide, I think. Pardew's team seem to go in runs of great winning runs and then slumps and defeats, and that's what's happening at the moment. But we can get out of it. We usually can. A lot of people now, some Palace fans, are getting very depressed and talking about relegation. And that's always going to be on the cards until you get 40 points, but we're only 9 points away from that. So we can easily turn it around. It's a very packed middle of the table at the moment in Premier League. A couple of good results and we'll be out of it. But it's more than results at the moment. We need something just to change the confidence and mentality, I think, on the pitch and in the stands as well. Because I think if we're all totally honest, we'll look at ourselves and it's been a bit flat recently. But, maybe if the team does better, that'll help us. But maybe if we do better, that might help the team as well. So there you go. A lot to think about at the moment for Palace fans. But if it was easy all the time, we wouldn't be Palace fans, would we? That wouldn't be Palace. Good. So here's Jay from the Eagles Beak with his thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. What are you doing? Click that button. We've got loads of stuff happening on the channel. Comment below with your thoughts on the game. Was Wilf man of the match for you, or was it Jednuk, or even someone else? And follow us on Instagram and Snapchat. I'm doing snaps from every away game this season. That's it. Here's Jay, and I'll see you again very soon, hopefully for a more positive Jim and Jay's final say.
Hey guys, welcome back to Palace Fan TV, and we've got a double episode for you due to we couldn't get the video done after the Stoke game, so we've got 2 games to look at, and two quite different games, to be honest. Looking back at the first game against Stoke on Saturday, FA Cup 4th round, and great win for us. We performed better than we have done of late. A lot of decent performances in the game, and it was tough going against a real tough tackling side. And hooray, we won with Mark Clattenburg in charge of a game, which it seems to have been a long time coming. But even though there were quite a few decisions in that game which didn't go our way, we could quite easily have lost out because of some of those decisions. But thankfully, we got through it. I think the big talking point in the game was a Stephen Ireland tackle on Johan Gabay, which Clattenburg played on, said Ireland got the ball. Looked like a tough tackle at the time. Not really seen many replays of it since, only seen freeze frame images, so it's a bit difficult to judge really on that because it has happened so quickly during the game. But onto the Palace performance. Enough about the referee. We talk about them too much, I think. They do influence games in different times, but we were well above that on Saturday against a Stoke side which made a lot of changes. They were knocked out of League Cup during the week, which I was hoping would play in our favour, but you never know. They kind of might have got the cup fever and wanted to make up for that defeat in the semi-final. Got a taste for it and want to get to a similar stage in FA Cup. But as it turned out, it was a really hard fought win against another tough Premier League side in the 4th round. And we suffered a couple of injuries. Both Joe Ledley and Kabay went off at half time. Jordan Much came on, and Jednuk, who impressed me that second half. He was a real driving force. After we got the goal, in that first half, we had spells in the second half where you would expect a team to come at you in a cup game. It's quite different to a league game, playing for points, but playing for the next round is a little bit different. You either win or you go home. So great win, and the second season in a row we're in the 5th round, and again we get a Premier League side away at Spurs, and a tough draw again. But you have to beat these sides if you want to progress into a competition, and maybe we could have a bit of luck on our side with the way the fixtures work out. leading up to that game. I think Tottenham have Man City on the Sunday, travel to Italy in the Europa League to play Fiorentina on a Thursday, and likely it is our game to move to the Sunday to play in the FA Cup. So, anything could happen, but I'm really hoping we get a few injured players back for that game. And talking of injured players, we turn up for Tuesday night against Bournemouth, a game which a lot of Palace fans are hoping will be the end of our losing streak, but as it turned out, it wasn't. Quite an entertaining game, to be fair. Another poor refereeing performance, but I'm not going to go on about that. Wilf Zaha was outstanding again. Didn't mention him in the Stoke game, but again, he was great in that game as well. He got a lot of treatment from Bournemouth. I think he was one of the players which were pinpointed as being trouble for them, and rightly so. But I think there was a lot of underhand tactics in that game. The referee didn't clamp down on it until, well, it handed out cards quite late on, and a few decisions went our way. But it was a tough loss. I mean, when we took the lead, and I thought actually when we took the lead, we were playing well, knocking the ball around, and a little bit of confidence was being shown there. But they got back into the game. Well, they got level really quickly afterwards, actually, which probably the worst thing that could have happened with our fragile confidence at the moment, and obviously letting in goals. Decent enough goal for them. Joel Ward, I think, caused a problem as a fullback. I used to play defence, and as a fullback, I was always told to keep the player out wide as much as you can. Don't let him inside, and that's what Joel did. I mean, obviously, professional footballers are far better than I ever was, but as soon as you let him inside, he's still a lot of work to do. But it's 1-1. Bournemouth got a bit of a spring in their step then, and in the second half they got that second goal, and plenty of time for us to come back. But we didn't really look like, we were huffing and puffing. Shamak had probably the best chance, which he hit too close to the keeper. Really, it looked like it was going to be in, and late just after that, Adebayor, who made his debut, great to see him come on in a Palace shirt. But we didn't play to his strengths. He had a great chance, or two actually. I think one would have been, he could have got something on an effort that was just flicked past him, perhaps, but probably a bit harsh there. And the other one was taken a bit wide from goal, and I think from where I was in the half away, it looked like it was in Adebayor's shot, but hoping it was. So again, another tough loss, and our losing streak continues. It's tough, isn't it? I mean, I was disappointed going away from a game last night. Losing to Bournemouth, but Bournemouth have beat better teams than us this season. It's just our frame of mind at the moment. Our confidence is low, and we're really missing players. I mean, at the start of the season, we said we got one of the best squads in the Premier League. We thought one of the best squads we've had in the Premier League, and I completely agree with that. But when you're having one or two players out injured, you can kind of fill those gaps with some of the squad players. But when you're having to fill gaps with squad players, when you're missing, likes of Cabaye, Balassi and Wickham, who all three of those are integral to our formation and the way we play, it's a little bit difficult. And obviously MacArthur went off in at half time as well, so Punch and pulled his hamstring later on, so we could have even more players out injured going into the Swansea game. But I'm not going to complain about injuries, not making excuses. That was still a game we should have won last night, and as a lot of you I've seen on Twitter, across social media last night, weren't particularly happy with the referee's performance, the way Bournemouth were in the game. But let's face facts. We played well enough actually to win that game, to get the lead as well. We should have punished Bournemouth with some of the great play we had before then, but it kind of diminished as the game went on, and we were clutching at straws a little bit. But it's another loss. Hopefully we can address that when we go to South Wales at the weekend. We're going to have to sometime. And as we're dropping, I think we're 11th at the moment. I think there's a couple of games on tonight. We'll see how it goes. But it's such a crazy division this season. Anything can happen. I know a lot of people are saying where those 9 points are going to come from. But for me, a fully fit squad had us up in the top four earlier on in the season. So I'm hoping that we'll see a lot more improvement as we get those players back. Hopefully Balassi will be back in a couple of weeks. Cabaye could be back for the weekend. Wickham has got one more game out through suspension. So, on the bright side, looking at that, we could have a lot of those players back, and we can start looking like the team we were before. So, while it's all very frustrating, I've been a Palace fan too long to kind of get too upset on a bit of a bad run like we're going on now. We are in the Premier League. We are still on 31 points as we're at the end of the season, but I don't think there's any panic button to be pressed right just yet. I think Pardew has a lot of work to do on the training ground to get these players back up to speed, and hopefully bring Adebayor up to speed, and those players coming back from injury. So I've not known a season quite like it in terms of injuries, but we'll see. We'll see how Saturday goes, and obviously we'll be back on Palace Fan TV on Sunday or Monday with our views on that game. But please leave your views on the Stoke game, the cup game, obviously getting through to the next round, and also the loss to Bournemouth underneath this video, and also on social media as well. And you can keep in touch with Palace Fan TV on Snapchat as well. So thanks for watching the videos. Like I say, please subscribe, share the videos, tell your friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you, reading your comments next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.